What is going on, Colts Nation? I am absolutely fired up today because a shocking report is starting to swirl that has me honestly concerned about the future of our defense. You aren't going to believe who is being linked to potential trade talks involving a high-profile AFC rival. We are talking about one of our most promising young defensive playmakers being put on the block. Is the front office actually considering a massive rebuild, or is this just pure noise? You need to hear these details to understand what is at stake. Smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. The conversation surrounding the Indianapolis Colts in 2026 has taken an unexpected turn regarding the future of edge rusher Laiatu Latu. Recent reports from Pro Football Focus contributor Dyer Carragher have identified the standout defender as a high-profile trade candidate. The premise behind this speculation rests on the potential for the Indianapolis Colts to undergo a more aggressive rebuild if the team faces a third consecutive losing season without establishing a long-term answer at the quarterback position. While the idea of moving a recent first-round draft pick might seem counterintuitive to many observers, the current NFL landscape has proven that even blue-chip talent can become a primary asset in blockbuster trades. Laiatu Latu enters this conversation after a 2024 rookie campaign, where he finished as the highest-graded edge defender from his draft class. His production was notable, as he recorded more sacks than fellow first-rounder Jared Verse, while simultaneously leading all defensive linemen in the league with 3 interceptions. These statistical milestones highlight his unique impact on the field, yet his status is now being analyzed through the lens of team-wide performance in Indianapolis. As the league monitors potential roster shifts, the possibility that the Indianapolis Colts could look to acquire significant draft capital by parting ways with a young star has become a talking point. This situation creates an immediate pivot point for the organization's direction, forcing a look at whether the franchise will double down on its current core or pivot toward a full-scale roster reset. The conversation remains firmly centered on the potential availability of such an explosive defensive presence, and for the fans who proudly stand for the shoe. The developments regarding the future of their top edge defender are being watched with intense focus. The logic behind placing Laiatu Latu on a list of potential trade assets hinges on a comparison to other recent high-stakes moves across the NFL. Dyer Carragher noted that players who were previously considered untouchable, such as Jared Verse, eventually became the focal point of massive trades involving superstars like Myles Garrett. For the Indianapolis Colts, the question is whether the potential return in draft picks and young talent outweighs the long-term value of keeping an edge rusher who has already shown elite flashes early in his career. The Colts are currently navigating a competitive cycle where every roster decision carries weight for the future. If the team continues to struggle, the front office may be forced to evaluate all options to secure assets for a transition. This matters right now because the position of edge rusher is one of the most valuable in the modern game, and a player with the versatility to both pressure the quarterback and drop back to record interceptions is a rare commodity. By looking at the potential for a trade, the discussion shifts from individual performance to the broader strategy of managing a team that is in need of a spark. The Indianapolis Colts are at a crossroads where the evaluation of their 2024 first-round selection is no longer just about his development, but about how he fits into a larger picture of potential reconstruction. As trade rumors swirl, the impact on the roster depth is clear. Losing a player of this caliber would leave a significant void that would require immediate and effective replacement strategies. For the organization, the stakes are rising as they measure the necessity of an aggressive rebuild against the desire to maintain high-end defensive talent on a roster that is looking for any sign of a turnaround. If a trade were to materialize, the potential packages discussed in reports suggest that the Indianapolis Colts would not settle for anything less than significant compensation. Speculation has linked the Philadelphia Eagles as a team that might attempt to pursue such a deal, potentially offering a combination of draft capital and young talent to facilitate a trade. The proposed framework includes a 2027 or 2028 third-round pick, paired with a promising player such as Nolan Smith or Jalix Hunt. These names have surfaced in trade rumors previously, signaling that the Eagles are clearly in the market for defensive reinforcements. Jalix Hunt, in particular, has garnered attention as the league's best-kept secret following a 2025 season, where he became the first player in franchise history to lead the team in both sacks and interceptions. This dynamic highlights the type of high-upside return that would be required for the Indianapolis Colts to even consider parting with a cornerstone like Laiatu Latu. The current trade environment in the NFL, exemplified by the acquisition of Jonathan Greenard, shows that teams are willing to pay steep prices to secure proven edge-rushing production. When the Eagles traded for Greenard, they not only sent away multiple third-round picks, but also committed to a massive 4-year, $98 million contract extension. This move set a standard for what teams are willing to spend to bolster their defensive front. By analyzing these past transactions, it becomes clear that the value placed on explosive defenders is at an all-time high. The Indianapolis Colts now find themselves in a position where their internal assets are being measured against the high costs and significant investments that other franchises are making to solidify their own defensive rotations across the league. The broader implications of these trade discussions for the Indianapolis Colts revolve around the necessity of balancing current production with future flexibility. While reports emphasize the potential for an aggressive rebuild, the facts of the matter remain tethered to the performance and the market value of Laiatu Latu. The inclusion of his name in trade talks is a testament to his high ceiling as a defensive playmaker. However, the decision-making process for the Indianapolis Colts is clearly impacted by the team's overall success or failure during the current campaign. As analysts continue to weigh the pros and cons of moving such a player, the focus returns to the impact on the team's defensive identity. If the decision were to be made to move forward with a trade, the franchise would need to ensure that the compensation package provides the necessary resources to improve other critical areas of the roster. This is not just about losing a player. It is about the broader strategy of team construction in an era where quarterback stability and defensive pressure are paramount. The situation remains a critical topic because it directly affects how the organization plans for the future. Whether or not a deal actually takes place, the fact that such a high-profile move is even being contemplated serves as a stark reminder of the realities facing the Indianapolis Colts. The focus remains on whether the current personnel can turn the tide, or if the front office will decide that a major roster overhaul is the only way to move toward a more sustainable path. Every movement in this narrative highlights the urgency of the moment for the team as they look to define their identity for the upcoming seasons and beyond in the league. The narrative surrounding the potential departure of Laiatu Latu serves as a microcosm of the challenges facing the Indianapolis Colts. In 2026, as the team evaluates the merits of holding on to a high-ceiling defender versus accumulating future assets, the reality of the league's trade market continues to influence the conversation. Reports indicate that teams like the Philadelphia Eagles have already shown a willingness to invest heavily in edge rushers, both in terms of draft capital and significant salary cap commitment. For the Indianapolis Colts, any potential movement involving their standout edge rusher would be driven by a cold, objective assessment of the team's trajectory. The analysis provided by experts like Dare Carragher suggests that the franchise is at a pivotal point where the status quo may no longer be an option, while fans of the team will continue to watch for the shoe. With pride, the business side of the organization is clearly focused on the logistics of how to best position the team for success. The potential trade assets, including young edge rushers and future picks, represent a significant influx of resources that could accelerate any planned structural changes. Ultimately, the story of Laiatu Latu is tied to the team's collective performance and the need for a long-term solution at the quarterback position. As the season progresses, every game and every defensive snap will likely continue to fuel these discussions. The organization faces the difficult task of balancing the desire to keep its best young talent against the potential need to reshape the entire roster. The clarity of these choices will define the next chapter for the team as they navigate the complexities of the modern NFL landscape, while striving to build a foundation that can withstand the demands of a high-stakes, competitive, and constantly shifting professional football environment.